Great, thank you so much. And Carrie, you're going to be able to toggle the slides for me, yes?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you so much. Welcome everyone to our regional CLIC training. We have opted to do these shorter after-school virtual trainings this year. You may have been to some of these in the past. This is the third or the fourth one we've offered. In previous years, we did offer these as whole day sessions, but obviously under the current circumstances, we are adjusting. So we're really glad that you're here, and we are trying our best to gear these sessions towards things that help teachers in the classroom now. Things that can be you know, used digitally, but also are just good teaching practices and you know, good materials for you to have available. So on the screen that you see now, we do have information regarding our next CLIC session. Our next session will be October 27th. In the same style of virtual meeting, after school hours, a short session that we hope you can all attend. And the topic of that session will be the California Global Education Project, which can be really accessed for any grade level and would be an excellent, will have excellent resources for teachers to use.
Attention.
Oh, there.
This is a test of the fire alarm system. Please disregard. Again, this is just a test. Please disregard.
Welcome to the digital world.
That's right. Don't worry, the fire alarm system works.
This is real life, folks.
That's
real
right.
life.
Earlier today, our internet just dropped, and all the Zoom calls dropped all the teachers, but kept all the kids. It was really an interesting thing. But anyway, so October 27th, and we encourage you to click on that link and join. And we hope that, oh my goodness, you guys, that we can join. And you know what? I may ask somebody else to do the next slide. If you can, I'm going to mute myself.
If this doesn't describe teaching, I don't know what does.
Right. All right. So I'll jump in. This is Audrey from Merced. I'm part of the Region 7 CLIC team. We have other representatives from, well, we have Stephanie from Mariposa, who's doing a fire alarm check. Carrie from Fresno, Justin from Tulare, and he is our lead, and we appreciate all his work. Wasim is from Merced County with me. He's a teacher at Gustine High School, and then I'm there on the right. We really want you to consider us a resource, and contact us. We've provided all of our contact information, and we hope you'll consider us a resource with any questions. If there's something you want to try and you wonder if you can do it, especially in distance learning, please contact us. We want to help you work through it. Here's a link to today's slide deck. That way you have all of the information. It looks like Wasim also put it in the chat box, so you can click on the link or copy and paste the link into your URL. But that way you can have all of these resources and information. I believe it will force you to make a copy. That way you'll have your very own copy of all of the materials and resources.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So today's topic for this session is bringing History Day into the classroom. For those of you that have participated in the History Day event with your county, go ahead and type that into the chat box, just so that I know if we have any veteran History Day advisors or even teachers that have participated. And as you're doing that, what I'd like you to know is that although you're going to hear me talking about the History Day, National History Day event, in the case that you're not going to be participating in this event, that is okay. What we want you to get out of this session are the strategies and the activities that we are presenting in accordance to integrating History Day into your content. So, oh great, I see Stephanie who's with us already. She's a History Day teacher, so if you need, or if you have any questions about History Day and you're in that county, you're gonna wanna ask her. Lucy, that's great, you're starting year 2. Merced, they're in year 2 right now. Fresno County, I'll let you know, we're in our 38th year of coordinating History Day. And Justin, I'm not sure if you know how many years you guys have been participating. It might be pretty close to that. Yes? I think I cut him off. I'm not sure, but I saw a little bit of a nod. Okay, as a reminder, and Justin put this in the chat box, the session will be recorded for those of us who were, or for those that were not able to join us today. And again, we are all available to you if you have any questions after this session. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Again, we want you to look at the curriculum that you are using and not necessarily toss it or throw it away, but how can you enhance it? How can you integrate National History Day or the aspects of National History Day in with your content that you're doing right now? So we're gonna get started with, well, what is National History Day? For those of you that have not participated, National History Day is an event, and normally it's a 1 to 3 day event, but you can make it a year-long event along with your content where your students are demonstrating in an authentic manner their scholarly, artistic, and historical preparation of a project, or if not a project, even simple assignments. It's your students being able to demonstrate their learning. It also allows students to reflect and share what historians throughout time and around the world do every day with events from the past. So how you do that is what we're going to spend the rest of our session on. And with that are the skills. So what skills belong in the students demonstrating? So you'll notice that what you see here are things that you require of your students anyway, even if you haven't done History Day before, if you don't plan on integrating History Day, these are the skills that you want your students to be able to demonstrate. Argumentative writing, the use of evidence, primary sources, even vetting sources at that, knowing the context of the topic, the historical significance, how it relates over time, what it has to do with what's going on today, and then last but not least, multiple perspectives. We want students to see and even question the validity and the authenticity of the author of what it is and who it is that they're reading about. So with that, there's a 1-minute video that I'd like you to listen to from National History Day, and it's from a student's perspective, especially for those of you that haven't participated in the event before. And again, it's not that we're necessarily selling you on the idea to have an event or to participate in the event, but to take what this event offers and integrate that in your everyday classroom. So with that, I'm going to share with you a 1-minute video of National History Day.
History is our past.
3, 2, 1.
It can change our future. I love this because that one point when you read an article or something like that, and then you find this one part in history that was so amazing, and you're just like, whoa, what's happening?
Oh no, my internet is slow.
History is our mistakes that we've made and our things that we've done well.
My favorite part of the whole process was that I met new friends,
being really enthusiastic about something that you love, and it's about expanding your horizons and learning a bunch of new things that you never knew before.
Learn history. It's a whole new story. It's like reading a great book, except it's all true. And history is a whole new world.
So it's nice to hear from a student's perspective what they get out of it. And by the way, if I didn't mention before, if you have any questions as I'm moving along the slides, type those questions into the chat box, and we'll have somebody call out those questions because I can't really see what's in the chat box right now. But if you need clarification or if I'm going too fast, please feel free to type that in there so that we can monitor that. So with that, we're going to move on to how does it work. So I want you to think about what you put in place in your history classes now. So there's a small graphic here on my screen. If you click on that graphic, for those of you that have the slide deck open, it is linked to a copy so that you can see it a little bit larger. And then Wasim, if you can copy and paste the link into the chat box, that would be great as well for those of you that don't have the slide deck open just yet. And I want you to take a look at this graphic for a few moments. On the left-hand side, this is what we would expect from our students as we are teaching content in our classroom. And this is teacher-led. And actually, I'm going to show it a little bit bigger on my screen here. So on the left-hand side, it's teacher-driven. This is what I want my students to get. When integrating National History Day and the idea of National History Day, even if you don't participate in the event itself, this is more student-driven, and these are the skills that the students will be getting out of it when you're integrating what the expectations are when you hold an event like this. So in looking at that, we're going to do some reflection, and I want you to think about the skills that your students need to master, both on the left and even on the right-hand side, what they need to master to be successful. And as you look through that, I want you to type into the chat box your thoughts on the barriers that need to be addressed when looking at those skills that we're expecting our students to master. So I'm going to give you a few moments. We'll give about 2 minutes for you to glance at that. Valerie agreed, the reading ability, especially at grade level. So think about how that might be addressed, especially with the reading ability at grade level being a barrier. The comprehension, they might be able to read the words, but are they comprehending what they are reading? Amy called out that students need enough background knowledge to get excited about history topics. Absolutely. Understanding sourcing, bias, and appropriate context. And following up with writing skills, absolutely. Understanding perspective. Give about 30 more seconds. From Carol, we have barriers include vocabulary, background knowledge of concepts, grade level text, and now in this day and age, the remote access where it can be difficult to scaffold. Absolutely, the scaffolding is going to look quite different in a distance learning environment. Thankfully, today we're going to be doing a couple of activities that you can embed in with your content, and when thinking about the barriers that your specific students have. Yes, process issues, good, Wasim, keeping track of notes over time. And Stephanie shared historical thinking skills. So with that, we're going to keep those in mind. We're going to keep those skills that we want our students to master. We're going to keep in mind the barriers that our specific students have and the scaffolds that we might have to put in place and how it looks different in a remote environment versus an in-person. So as we reflect on some of the activities that we're doing in a distance learning environment, I want you to think about how they may or may not work, how you might need to modify them to meet the needs of your students. And then for those of us that are lucky enough to go back hybrid or in person sometime, I want you to think about how this activity might be modified if we eventually get to be in person. So with that, we're going to go right into some strategies. And we're going to explore 3 different strategies, or actually I'm going to be assigning you one of 3 strategies. However, I'm going to quickly go through each of those, and then on your own time after this session, for the strategy that you weren't assigned to, you're able to go back. We have links to everything on here, and like I said, we are all available to answer any questions. So with that, we're going to be looking at 3 strategies, and the instructions, I'm going to give you those first before I show you the strategies, is you're going to explore one strategy, just as I said. I'm going to put you in a breakout room to really dig deep into that strategy. And what I want you to think about, and you're going to be putting a teacher hat on and your student hat on, but I want you to explore it in a student perspective, but as you're exploring it as a student, I want you to think about as a teacher how you might use this same strategy in a lesson that you've already taught or in a lesson that you plan on teaching, and would it look different in a remote environment versus an in-person, okay? So with that, I'm going to give you some exploration time, and before I put you in your breakout rooms, I want to show you each of these strategies. Because they're going to look a little bit different. There's a wonder statement strategy, there's a crafting a research question, and then there's the root cause consequence analysis strategy. So I want to remind you that when putting these strategies in place, you would begin with wonder statements with your students. And from wonder statements, you would then go to your students eventually crafting their own research question on the topic. And then from there, your students would then look at the root cause and consequence analysis of the topic. But because we're in this remote environment, and because I want you to be able to explore all of these strategies, there's a couple of things I did. I'm going to assume that if you are in breakout room 2 and 5, that I'm going to pretend that you guys already did the wonder statements and now you're ready to craft a research question as a group. Same thing if you are in breakout room 3 and 6. I'm going to assume that if you are working on the root cause and consequence analysis with your breakout room group, that you guys have already done the wonder statement, you've crafted a research question, and now you guys are ready to dig deeper and get into the root cause. So I'm going to show you real quick what these forms look like so that you know what to expect. And then that way, if you need any clarification before we put you into breakout rooms, you can ask me, okay? So if you're in breakout room 1 or 4, you're going to start with the wonder statement. And you are going to be, well, everybody's going to have the topic of manifest destiny. And there is a slide deck and excerpts link that I've given everyone that I want you to click on, and I want you to peruse that slide deck. And then there is additional excerpts that I would like you to peruse, and you're going to click on that as a breakout group. From there, you're going to follow the rest of the directions, and you're going to complete the wonder statement graphic organizer if you are breakout room 1 and 4. For breakout room 2 and 5, like I said, we're going to pretend that you've already done the wonder statements and now you're ready to craft a research question. In the topic area, I've already put manifest destiny and I put the same links. You will not have an answer for the research question from your first draft or second draft because you didn't do that. You're going to go right into the research question brainstorm and then your final draft in crafting your group's final question. And then down below are some ideas to help you. And for the last breakout rooms, if you're breakout room 3 or 6, you guys are going to have a slide deck and it's the root cause analysis. And what you're going to be doing is I have the question that you would have already come up with, because like I said, I'm going to pretend you guys have already done the wonder statement. You've already done the question. And I put the question right here on your copy. And then on the left-hand side, I put the same links to Manifest Destiny. And from there, you're going to go through the slides as your breakout room group. So let me go back to the slides. So are there any questions before we put you into breakout rooms on what you might be doing with those links? And I'm going to tell you, this is probably the hardest part for me is the wait time in a remote environment. I've got to remember that people are probably taking their time to type something, but feel free to unmute if you need any clarification. So Justin is going to put you in breakout rooms. We're going to give you 15 minutes. And in that 15 minutes time, you're going to be able to look at the slide deck, to look at the additional excerpts on Manifest Destiny, and then depending on which breakout room you have, you're going to complete that graphic organizer that's been provided for you. We are asking that in your breakout rooms, you take on a role. So the facilitator, you're probably going to be the one to make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing and on task in terms of, okay, I'm going to open up the slide deck. Everybody open up the slide deck. You might even want to read it out loud, or you might want to read aloud the excerpts. If you're the reporter is going to type in whatever information that your group is wanting to put on the graphic organizer. The recorder, what I'd like you to do is when we come back out from the breakout room, the recorder is either going to share in the chat box one aha or one thought, or you can even unmute and share it aloud. And then last but not least, if you do have a fourth person in the breakout room, we're going to ask that you're the timekeeper. Knowing that we have 15 minutes, we want to make sure that we're spending so much time on the provided links, but also giving enough time to complete some of the graphic organizer, and then to even have a discussion with your teacher hat on the strategy itself, and then how you might use it in your classroom. Okay? So in a moment, Justin's going to put you in breakout rooms, but let's give a few moments for people to either unmute to ask for clarification or to type that they need further clarification.
Carrie, we're ready. Just
Okay.
let me know when we're ready.
Okay, so with that, let's put everybody in the breakout room. We have Wasim putting in the chat box, the links. So if you are breakout room 1 and 4, your link is there. Breakout room 2 and 5, your link is there. And then last but not least, breakout room 3 and 6, your link is in the chat box as well. So we'll see you back in 15 minutes. Thank you. Okay, so first I should probably tell you, when I did not realize that I did not make a forced copy for each room. So we were sharing ours with breakout room 1, the same document. So I quickly went in and I was writing breakout room 1, breakout room 4. That way we didn't get our answers mixed up. So I apologize for that if it was a little messy. But what I'd like you to do right now is I want us to take a few moments and I want you to think about the strategy, think about it in this remote environment, think about it with your students and the barriers that you know your specific students have. And in the chat box, if you were the recorder, if you could type in how you might use this particular lesson with your students. And if you would rather unmute, you can do that as well. While seeing your room liked the cause and consequence tree.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure I dropped the link to the copy version so that everybody can click that and make that theirs. What we really liked about it was that it seemed like it was purpose-built to help us get the message across to the kids. I don't know if you want to share it so that people can just quickly see see what it looks like, what we were talking about. But you have their consequences and they get to brainstorm what some of the consequences are, move them over onto the map. So the students that we had who were maybe having language difficulties, they have that kind of built-in support that they can look at the metaphor of the tree, kind of understand the flow, because they go from consequences, the yellow, to the blue, which are the root causes, and how close or how far they are into the branch can be kind of a discussion about how important it is or how central it is to the overall research question or the problem. So we really thought that was a brilliant strategy, and we're stealing it.
Good, good. Anyone else who'd like to unmute and share? It's always nice to hear somebody else's voice rather than my own. I'm gonna have to tell you that because my door keeps creaking open with family members asking me to quiet down. I don't think they realize I'm in a session.
Well, I can go. We were in group 2 and we found that our graphic organizer helped us to formulate our brainstorm questions. And by formulating those brainstorm questions, we will eventually, not today because we did a little bit too much talking, I think, but it really did help us put together the information that would lead to a well-written research question, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pam. Anyone else? Maybe from breakout room 1 or 4 that had the wonder statements?
Yeah, we just found the activity really accessible and enjoyable, and we had to pause and think about whether we wanted to keep doing the activity or to put on our teacher hats because the ideas just kept coming, and we thought that would be the same for students whether they had no real prior experience with the documents or a lot, and it just naturally allowed for a lot of different entry points at a different emotional points of view and sort of levels of critical analysis as well.
Thank you, Amy. Anyone else? The scary thing is I'm reading Carol, sorry, internet connection unstable. Do you know I got that on my computer too, and yet it's my screen that I'm sharing. So hopefully my screen continues sharing. So with that, again, we have all the links in the slide deck. In the notes section of the slides, there are the links that we gave you to collaborate with each other, but then we gave you forced copy links to, so that you can have your own and not have a version that was edited by someone else. So with that, we're going to be moving on. I'm looking at the time, and again, I want to honor the time, so we're going to do something a little bit different. What we're going to do, here's another activity where we're assuming that your students have already taken a topic, they've done their research, and now we really want the students to take that research, to take their notes, and really start looking at what are those facts that are important, the facts that are going to lead me into my next part of my project, and what are some of the facts that were, oh, these were great to know, but something that I'm going to leave out of my writing. So originally what we were going to do, we were going to have you go into a breakout room and spend a little bit of time taking this next activity and sorting it as a group. What we're going to do instead is we're going to just give you 3, maybe 4 minutes of independent time where you'll all get a copy. And Wasim, if you can make sure that it's the forced copy so that everybody has their own and we're not going to see everybody's answers on one page. So I'm not going to put you in a breakout room, but we're going to do a sorting game based on Rosa Parks. So again, I want to preface it by saying, I'm assuming that we have already chosen our topic, which is Rosa Parks. We've already done our research. And on the left-hand side, we've got all of our notes that we got from our research. And what I want my students to be able to do is I want them to be able to sort the facts. So what is it that's context? What is it that's the main event, the meat part, and what I need to make sure I put in my paper? And what is it that's just nice to know? And then what are those facts that lead me into the connection of any sort of theme I'm wanting to answer? So when you click on the forced copy link that Wasim will put into the chat box, or actually I have it as well. Let me put that in the chat box. We're going to give you about 3 minutes. Oops. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to kind of just look at that and just sort it. And as you're doing that, I want you to think about how you might adapt this for your specific students, keeping in mind the barriers that you know your students have. Okay, so everybody should have this open right here. And if I scroll it, it explains the categories, what I mean about historical context, historical significance, what would be a main event, and nice to know. And you're just going to take one of the facts that was researched and you're going to place it wherever you think it belongs. So Justin, if you can just keep note of the time, about 3 minutes, and then we'll bring them back. And if you have any questions, type it into the chat box, but we do want to give you some independent time to play around with this specific activity. Thinking about this activity, if you were able to access it, how might you adapt this for your students? Assuming again, that your students have done the research on their topic and they have the facts, and now you're wanting them to sort them into context, main event, significance, and then nice to know. So go ahead and unmute if you'd like and share how you might adapt this particular sorting activity.
I guess I have a question about whether the answers are somewhere.
Oh, you want the answer?
I don't mean to be that person.
No, it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to do it unless I get it all right. I do have the answers to it, and I don't have it linked on here, but I will. Because I know I'm that person too, but I thought, oh, I don't know if they want to see the answers, because you know what? Some of it's debatable, right? Some of it would be like, well, is it significant, or is that like a nice to know, especially in the direction that students go, depending on what their research question is going to be. So yeah, I will put in the answer key so that you'll have this in the folder. So with that, I am, okay, so Ariana, so if the lesson was purely about distinguishing about context significance, this would be a great way to check for understanding on knowing the difference between them all. Absolutely. This is yet another activity to allow the students to build a deeper knowledge of the topic and to really look at multiple perspectives and bias. That's what this activity is for, to really get them to start digging deeper and getting them to think. Thank you for that, Ariana. So with that, there are a few more slides on here that we do not have time for at all, but everything is linked so it's at your disposal. And again, we are here for you to answer any questions. There is a thesis statement activity that I would really have liked to go over, but it's there for you because now that your students have done the research and they're ready to start their paper, how do you craft a thesis statement? So it's a slide deck that takes you through steps and activities for your students. And again, it would have been one where we look at what strategies need to be put in place and what scaffolds need to happen for the students that we have. And we would have had a thesis statement being constructed about Rosa Parks based on the activity that we just did. So again, I'm going to go through that one really quick. And then we were going to give you some planning time because on this particular link here, whether you decide to participate in National History Day or not, this site has a plethora of additional activities, scaffolding activities, especially when we're looking at our English learners, our students that are low readers, our reluctant readers and writers, learning targets. There is so much on this site that we wanted to give you time to do that. But again, we want to honor your time, and it is 4:30. So with that, I'm going to turn this over. Oh, actually, before I turn it over, if you want additional resources at your county level, there should be a person, like for instance, I'm the History Day coordinator for Fresno County. Justin, you would want to contact him for Tulare. For Merced, it would be Audrey. Or if you wanted to go to the person herself, it is Whitney Olson, who is the state coordinator. And she put together a lot of the information that you see on that website, as well as the activities that we did today. But with that, I'm going to hand this over to Justin, who is going to close us out.
Thank you, Carrie, for sharing all these wonderful resources. So to close out in this last minute, I put in the link in the chat box, a link to our survey. Please, 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 we desperately need your feedback. We appreciate it. We try to be responsive to your needs. So we really would appreciate it if you can fill out that survey before by the end of the day. Carrie, on the last slide, this has our contact information. You can click on our Bitmoji images, and that's how you'll be able to contact us. Our flyer is there on the left. We invite you to continue to join us in our community of practice and to invite anyone else who you feel may be interested. All the registration links are there. And then that gift card, that will take you to our shared Google Drive folder. So just in case you aren't able to make it to our sessions, you'll find all of our resources this year. All of the recordings will be there. So lastly, before you go, thank you for joining us. We do giveaways here at Region 7. So I'm going to share my screen, Carrie, and I put everyone's names on you can see my wheel, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to shuffle. So because you made it, we're going to give away one prize. We're going to mail you a prize for joining us. So here we go. And the winner is Pam. Pam, you're a winner.
Thank
Pam,
you.
you're still here. Congratulations, Pam. I'm going to send you an email, and that way you can send us your mailing address so we can send you your prize.
Thank you.
So with that, thank you all for joining us. We'll stay on the call if you'd like to ask us any questions, but otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Watch the debates in Cleveland, 6 o'clock today, first presidential debate. So thank you all.